I like to start off with doing the pledge and the prayer. The pledge of allegiance. I didn't ask the council person, so I'll do it. Those that would like to participate, please participate. And we are going to start with the flag. I see it's up first, so let's do the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Gracious Heavenly Father, we come to you tonight asking you to give us a clear understanding of the task that we have before us. We ask that you give us sound mind and clear conscience so that when we leave from our decision making, we feel good about it. We ask you to look over all of our city staffs, our city manager, as well as our city. Bless. The word for this year is love. We need to learn how to love one another and respect one another. These things we ask in the mighty name of Jesus. Amen. Madam Clerk, can I get a roll call, please?
Yes, Councilmember Williams.
Present.
And thank you. Mayor Pro Tem Balls.
Present from City of Saginaw.
Councilmember Bench.
Present in the City of Saginaw.
Councilmember Ostash.
Present, Saginaw, Michigan.
Councilmember Scherzer.
Present, City of Saginaw.
Councilmember Copeland.
Present, Saginaw, Michigan. Present from City of Saginaw, Michigan.
Councilmember Lamar Sylvia. Thank you. Councilmember Flores.
Present, City of Saginaw.
Mayor Moore.
Present, City of Saginaw.
We have 9 members present and 0 absent.
Thank you so much, Madam Clerk. Do we have any announcements?
Yes, Mayor, I do. Thank you. I want to remind everyone that the yard waste program resumes on April 1st, and it's on your regular trash day. Place your yard waste in a 35-gallon or smaller cans or in a paper yard waste bag for collection. But your cans or containers must be labeled with the yard waste sticker. These are available at the city clerk's office. And cans and bags cannot weigh more than 50 pounds. Twigs and grasses cannot extend more than 12 inches above the top of the container. And also the city's waste convenience station is open to city residents the second Saturday of the month from 8 o'clock a.m. till 12 o'clock noon. The station is located at the Public Works Building, and you can access it using the Holland Street Avenue. City residents may dispose of items that would otherwise be taken to the landfill that curbside does not pick up, such as building materials. And we also have recycling for glass, plastic, and paper. The next collection day will be Saturday, April 10th. And City Council will return to in-person meetings, beginning with the next meeting on April 12th. And that's what I have, Mayor. We are now at public input.
Madam Clerk, I'd like to remind all of our public speakers that you have 3 minutes is your time. Please get all of your important points in during those 3 minutes. And you will get a response from the department head or from our city manager regarding what you are speaking about. Thank you, Madam Clerk.
Our first speaker tonight is Adrian Rodriguez.
Hello, thank you, members of the City Council. I appreciate the opportunity to speak. So today what I'd like to do is to bring up 3 points concerning the non-occupied homeowners fees and the how it appears to be a hostile fee towards homeowners that do not own that own property within city limits. First point is that you cannot pay the non-owner occupancy fee unless all other fees have been paid and settled first. The second point is that attempting to pay the non-owner occupancy fee prior to the due date is not allowed because invoices haven't been paid. So if you try to get ahead of the payment, you're unable to do so. And then once the invoice is posted, you have 30 days to make payment, or else you're imposed a significant fee, which is 100% of the penalty, or 100% penalty of the fees, which there's no scale, 30 days late, you pay 50%, or other fees. If you look at other fees within the city, there's a 10% penalty if it's paid late and things along those lines. So you're imposed a hostile fee against the owners of the home. I understand the point of you requiring a non-owner occupancy fee, but however, the ability to make payment is severely hindered, as well as the inability or not allowing you to pay early really puts a damper on things, because if there's a water payment by the tenant that's behind, if there's any additional fees like rubbish, you can't make that payment. And here's why it's significant. Because this payment is actually tied to the city clerk, they take you to court, or you are summoned on why you couldn't make that payment. So it's not like your traditional bill. So you're basically being squeezed to pay all these other penalties and fees before you can even make a payment. Even though you go in to attempt to make this payment, it results in potential court fees and other areas, which creates a hostile atmosphere and exploiting the legal system because of the tight constraints around the non-owner occupancy fee. So there's concern there that it makes it difficult amongst homeowners to make these payments because of the stringent rules around them. So that's what I wanted to bring forward today and express the difficulty.
Thank you so much, sir. Someone will get back with you.
Okay.
Thank you. Next.
Mayor, our next speaker is Marcus Mohammed.
Good afternoon to the council. Thank you for this opportunity to be before you. I'll be brief. I'm establishing I'm the founder of Man Up Peacekeepers Initiative Program for Social Reform in the city of Saginaw. We have a lot of trainings that are free to the public. They include conflict resolution training and establishing conflict resolution centers in the city of Saginaw, proper handling of the people training, nonviolent intervention training, CPR training, self-defense training, where we have a grand master come in and teach the people karate, 8 basic forms of communication training. We have manhood and womanhood training for 5-year-olds to 17-year-olds. We have crisis counseling training, tutoring and assessment, job training, job search, vocational skill trades training, mentorship for men and women, from pastors to lawyers, domestic violence intervention and support groups. We have women and men support groups for gun violence. We also have AA, NA support groups, counseling and mental health counseling. This includes the program for the Man Up Initiative for Saginaw. I'm looking for funding. We want the law enforcement to be involved. We want the pastors involved. We want everybody in the community involved. We are deputized in Flint. And what we do is we work with the law enforcement because people don't want to come forth and give the information to the police. So they give the information to us, and we work with the law enforcement to make their arrests. We have made arrests. We've found murderers within 2 or 3 days that the police couldn't do. By us having boots on the ground and the people trusting us, they give us the information, and we work with law enforcement. So I just wanted to present that to Saginaw and see if everybody will be willing to be a part of that. Thank you. Also, I would like also about the city of Saginaw, about cleaning the lots. I do community cleanups, and I just ask that I can work with the city, have dumpsters or something put out there, and I'll keep them clean. Or if I can't do it, I have the city clean them first, and then we'll keep them up in the community, all over the city. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Mayor, that now takes us to the remarks of council.
Council members, remember you have 3 minutes as well to speak or to give your speech, and we will start tonight with Ms. Lamar Sylvia. I got it right, I think. And Miss Sylvia is sick. She's got, I don't know if it's laryngitis, but she's got some throat problems. She might want to wave to the viewers so that they can see her. Okay. So then we'll go to our next person, unless she wants to try to say something. I don't want to disinclude her. Okay. Okay. And next we will have Mr. Flores, Councilman Flores. I'm sorry.
Oh, thank you, Mayor, and congratulations on receiving your MML Jim Sinclair Exceptional Service Award. You are certainly exceptional. And then also, I'd like to thank the Saginaw Fire Department, Region 3, and the Michigan Search and Rescue Foundation for inviting me to their structural training, collapse training. It was incredibly informative. It was inspiring to see so many people that are on probation that are working towards making sure that our city is a safer place. And then also, this is from Councilwoman Lamart Silva. There was a deadly fire in Carlton at an apartment complex last night, and our prayers go out to everybody. The Saginaw Red Cross is accepting donations, so please call 989-754-8181 if you'd like to donate. There's one person that passed away, and then 3 that were injured and hospitalized. Also, congratulations to Bishop Larry Camel of New Birth, stepping up and being the co-chair of LPAC. That's an important organization that helps to try to keep our city safe. So it was good to see him at that meeting. And then also last, special thanks to all the volunteers at St. Joe's, Mount Olive, Victorious Believers in New Birth this last Saturday. They've vaccinated over 2,400 people. I know that Councilman Copeland was out there volunteering, so that's amazing. I got my vaccination, I think 2 weeks ago, and so I really encourage everybody in the city to please consider getting vaccinated when it's your turn. And that's all I have.
Thank you, sir. Next we have Councilman Williams.
Good evening, everyone. First, I'd like to say thank you to our public speakers. Brother Marcus, really appreciate you, and I owe you a telephone call as well. But everything that you presented tonight, what you and your Man Up organization are trying to do are commendable, and I will be doing as much as I can to support and help with those efforts. I would also like to basically give a shout out to the Bridge the Gap program for their efforts in trying to get more minorities into law enforcement. They have another effort coming up, August Academy. They'll be sending more, I believe it's 8 through for graduation in December. So I'm glad to hear that, and I support those efforts as well. And that's it for tonight.
Thank you, Councilman Williams. Next, we have Mayor Pro Tem Balls.
Good evening, fellow city council people and the citizens of Saginaw. I too would like to congratulate the mayor for another fine award that she has received. She do what has to be done plus. I can't imagine where she get all the energy she get to do what she do, but I thank God that she's doing it. Mr. Marcus Muhammad, please give me a call at 989-714-5724. I'd be more than willing to help you out with your efforts to make Saginaw a livable, productive place for everybody. So please give me a call. I'd be more than happy to help you out. I'm looking forward to, I think the mayor is going to announce today about our citywide cleanup that we hope to be doing annually. Beautiful thing that we have so many people that want to get involved in that too. I think it'd be a lot, people have a lot more pride when they see that our city is looking better. A lot of times we had to realize that the springtime has a tendency to show us off as far as all the paper that people have been throwing around all winter. So let's get out there and clean up our city and make it look beautiful for everybody. Other than that, I don't have any other comments to make? Just everybody be safe. Get your shots. I have received my second shot already, a little bit over a week ago. Feeling fine, and looking forward to seeing us do positive things for the city of Saginaw. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. Next, we have Councilwoman Bench.
Thank you, Mayor Moore. I too want to extend my congratulations to you on your Exceptional Service Award. I can't think of anybody who deserves that more than you, and I'm glad that others recognize how fortunate we are to have you as a public servant here in Saginaw. I also want to thank our county clerk, Vanessa Guerra. She has been organizing informational walks on our vaccines in the city, and giving people an opportunity to join and pass out information. And if she hosts any more of those, I would encourage people to keep an eye out and join if they're able, now, especially now that the weather's starting to break. But it's really good to get that information out there to people. I'm happy to announce that I finally have an appointment to get my first dose of my vaccine. I've never been more excited about getting a shot in my entire life. And I'm just relieved, and was a little surprised at how emotional I was when I finally got the confirmation that I was able to get in and get vaccinated. So I hope everybody who wants one is able to get one soon, and don't be scared. We're going to get through this together. The other thing I would like to ask, I don't know if I need to ask it of our mayor or our city manager, but I would like to get together a meeting of the existing committee with Mayor Pro Tem Balls, Mayor Moore, myself, and Councilman Ostash, that was put together shortly before the election, and the name escapes me. I don't want to misname it, but I believe it's Human Relations. But I'd like to have a conversation with our city attorney and our city manager about how best to support the LGBT community in Saginaw. Anybody who knows my history on the city council knows how important advocating for the LGBT community has been to me, and we've seen some changes and some movement at the state and federal levels. And I would just like to have a conversation about how best to support those efforts from the council table. So that's all I have, and thank you very much.
Thank you, Councilwoman Bench. Now we have Councilman Ostash.
Thanks, Mayor. Welcome everybody to spring. Finally, we are here, and congratulations to our mayor on her award. I've got a few items here that I've wrote down, and we're talking about city cleanup and trash cleanup. And I do want to give a big shout out to our city staff and Scenic, because there was a large amount of dumping that was going on a couple of streets over here in the city, and they responded very quickly, and they got everything taken care of the next day. So thank you for doing that. The Ezekiel project with the Ezekiel Environmental Justice Task Force is going to be doing a big cleanup as well, and that's going to be on April 24th from 11 to 3 p.m. So you could contact them or maybe visit their Facebook page for more information. Also, the 3 Saginaw Rotary Clubs are going to be doing a big trash cleanup at the old Malibu site along the river. That's April 24th, so contact them if you want more information or would like to help. One of the announcements I came across over the last couple weeks is on April 7th, there's going to be a big food distribution going on for our seniors, 60 years and older. There's going to be 400 boxes of food that will be delivered. And for more information, I'll give you the phone number. You must RSVP by March 29th. So that's 989-797-6880. And also, I hope I'm not stealing anybody's thunder here if they were going to announce it. That is affiliated with Saginaw Valley State University, but they are offering free tuition for this fall. It's going to be the first time that they're doing this program for adjusted gross incomes of under $50,000 or less. And this is even qualifies to get your bachelor's degree. And it will also qualify for people that are already working on their degree that could qualify for this program. So that's very exciting for me, and that is my old alma mater. And speaking of vaccines, I too am really excited. I have one down, and April 10th is my next. So I do encourage everybody to get vaccinated. It was I felt great the next day. My arm was a little sore. Some people, they don't even experience that. So So that's all I have tonight, Mayor, and I just thanks everybody for watching us tonight.
Thank you, Councilman Ostash. Next, we have Councilwoman Scherzer.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I want to first thank our speakers as well. I do serve on the Crime Stoppers board, so Mr. Muhammad, I'm sure we would love to partner with you. We have some up and coming projects that we are putting in place in COVID, but hopefully continuing post COVID. So definitely some interesting conversation. I encourage you, please reach out to the Crime Stoppers via Facebook, or Mr. Eddie Fox is our president, so you can definitely reach out to him as well, or myself, and we'll get you connected. Hidden Harvest is coming up with their 25th their 25th Good Taste and All That Jazz virtual event. It's going to be from May 5th through May 15th. Excuse me, just some statistics. Since 1994, Hidden Harvest has contributed 42 million pounds of food to our community. In 2020, they did 3.3 million. That's 1 year. So in order for them to continue their efforts, we need our community to step up and help. So if you have questions or are looking for more information, you can look at Hidden Harvest via Facebook, or contact Samantha McKenzie, who is the Executive Director CEO over at Hidden Harvest. Thank you to our clerk for reminding everyone that our yard waste starts April 1st. I know several of us members of council have expressed the concerns, as well as the rest of the city, in the yard waste and the trash. So please take care of your neighborhoods and your own yards, and we can all do our part to make Saginaw look just a little bit better. I want to thank our mayor, not only congratulate her, but thank her. She participated in our Zeta Phi Beta Sorority Incorporated Zeta Omega Zeta Chapter's Thought Provoking Thursday, where I serve as the president. And we focused on women in leadership. So Mayor Moore had a candid and down to earth conversation with us and shared some encouraging words, some great memories, and some thoughtful tips moving forward for not just women, but anyone looking to expand themselves in politics, but just being successful in life. So Mayor Moore, thank you. We truly enjoyed you, and you know the Zetas love you. And then lastly, the YMCA of Saginaw is looking to hire. So if you're needing a job, reach out to the YMCA. They did shut down for a little bit, but they're back in full swing. They're hiring for paid and volunteer positions. So Doug Temple, my buddy Doug, I serve on the membership and program committee at the Y. He will gladly help you if you are in need of a job or looking to volunteer and get more active in the community. You can reach him at dtemple@saginawymca.org. And for those of you who are Y members or looking to be Y members, I'm not recruiting, but I will tell you, it is the safest gym setup. They have done great jobs in advancing their members safely, but also inviting new members to join. So it's right here in the heart city of Saginaw. I encourage everyone to join, or just at least take a visit. And then that's my last thing. I'll stop there. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilwoman Scherzer.
Don't laugh
And
at me.
next we have, I'm not laughing, I'm laughing with you, girl. So next we have Councilman Copeland.
Good evening, everyone, and congratulations again, Mayor Moore. Thank you to our public speakers who joined tonight. With all the information that was shared from Mr. Muhammad, I'm looking forward to getting his contact just to see where this organization, I really liked all of the training you all offer. I do want to start off with this week. There's a couple of things going on this Wednesday and Thursday. The Saginaw CAC will be having their food distribution for our seniors that are 16 and above. They will be served on March 24th from 10 to 2. And then for our residents who are 59 and under, they will be served on the 25th from 10 to 2 p.m. First Ward has been serving our seniors during COVID with a partnership with Proactive Community Involvement. They are still looking for seniors. They feed weekly, 4 times a week. They are delivering food to our seniors' doors. So if you are looking, if you know a senior who is in need of food or is not getting out, please call the First Ward Community Service with their partnership with Proactive Community Involvement. This is a mutual aid program here in the city of Saginaw. Also, First Ward has the funding for utility assistance. So if you are in need, that will be a great contact for you. The MISHTA COVID emergency rental assistance, the application is available. So if you are a landlord or you are a renter and you are in need of rental assistance, please visit michigan.gov/CERA for your application. The application there will be for landlords and renters. So if you know of anyone who's behind on their rent or you have renters who have not paid during COVID, there is money available. I actually went through the process just to see how hard it would be. And to be honest, the easiest way is to call 211. So if you need assistance or you don't have access to the internet, please call 211. They will gather your information and then send you an application in the mail, or their correspondent will contact you to finish the application. Congratulations to the Youth Development Corporation on their ribbon cutting. I was actually on a social emotional learning session with them today, their students today, with a group of young men just talking about their emotions and how to process that. And that was a really good session. So congratulations to you all. And I know our Mayor Moore is going to mention it, but this Saturday from 3 to 5:30, there will be an Easter basket giveaway at Hoyt Park. I will be out there volunteering. If you are free, bring the children out. And then also, finally, it has been an honor to serve the community at the vaccination sites these past 2 weekends. I really have enjoyed seeing our community having access to the vaccine, which is amazing. And I'm looking forward to the other two, shot number 2, and I even have some students going out to help. So once thank you to Great Lakes Bay Health, Covenant, St. Mary's, and Bay County for providing access to the vaccine to our community. That's all I have.
Thank you, Councilman Copeland. It's my turn. First, I'd like to say this. I really was trying to keep that award a secret. And my peers throughout the state of Michigan said it wasn't no secret. I won that award unanimously from the board of directors and people around the state of Michigan. It is an honor to receive it because it is not Brenda's award, it's the city's award. I do what I do for the city because I do love my city. And so yeah, I'll probably get some more, but I'm dedicating them all to my city that I live, work, and play in. So, and I can't do it without the other 8 people that I sit up front with. Okay, even my newcomers, you've contributed some life to me too. So don't think that you just knew and you haven't contributed. Some of you done gave me some gray hair, but it's okay. It's okay. That's what it's all about. It's all about being a servant. So I really want to thank my whole crew that ride, as they say, my ride or die crew that rides with me. So the other thing is I want to thank Tazinos. That's a royalty. That was an interview. I had interviewed 4 times that week. And that was the most fun interview I ever done. I could be Brenda. Even when I said I wanted to be a real politician, they laughed at me. So I like to do a real shout out to the whole family and tell them all I love them. If they ever need me again, please get a hold of me. The next thing I wanted to talk about was May the 15th. For some ungodly reason, I think it's a national cleanup your neighborhood or clean up your city day. Me, along with the mayor pro tem and any other council members that like to get together, we're going to get together and we want to try to do a citywide cleanup. We spoke about it this morning during our management update, our review update. And so I think that if we invest as the citizens, if we invest in cleanup, who can clean up our city better than we can? We can. So I'm encouraging all of us to take part in it. For the council people that might want to be interested in helping, please let me know because I might drop off, but that does not mean that you don't take it forward. Now, for those that wanted to see, I don't know if you can see this little thing, this little board, but this is what it looks like. Okay, it it's so foggy you can't see it. But I want you to know, if I hit you in the head with it, joke, playing, if it falls on the floor, it don't break. How do I know? Because it fell and it didn't break. So I know it's heavy glass. But I'd like to thank everybody for supporting me. Also on Saturday from 3 o'clock. Okay, that's good. I'm glad it's over. Madam Clerk.
Mayor, we are now at reports from the city manager.
Mr. Morales.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, and I would also give my congratulations to Mayor Moore for receiving the Jim Sinclair Exceptional Service Award from the Michigan Municipal League. And MML President and Westland Mayor William Wild commented that Brenda's passion for her community and the people she serves shines through in everything she does. And I couldn't agree more with that statement. It should be noted that Mayor Wild did serve with Brenda for quite a while on the board, so he knows her very well. And I know Brenda cares about Saginaw and cares about the residents. She's tirelessly representing and advocating for the city. And if you're in any meetings with her with outside officials, you'll see that. At a previous council meeting, I mentioned that we were trying to establish quarterly meetings with our state legislators. Senator Horn and Representative O'Neill have both agreed to participate, and our first meeting is scheduled for April. The mayor, Mayor Pro Tem, and I will be meeting with the senator and representative on a regular basis. We're pleased to move forward with these planned opportunities for discussion, and if council members have any questions or ideas you'd like to send us, please feel free to do so, or call Mayor Pro Tem Balls and Mayor Moore or myself to talk about those issues, and we can pass those along to Senator Horn and Representative O'Neill. And most of you, I know, I emailed you all, and you may have seen on the news, we've about the $1.9 trillion American Rescue Plan. The city of Saginaw is projected to receive just under $54 million from that legislation. Mayor Moore and I met with Congressman Kildee and members from his staff on March 12th to discuss the award. There are limitations for allowable expenditures, as are with most of the federal funds that we receive. The congressman asked us for suggestions and questions regarding the potential uses of the funds. The city financial management team reviewed the legislation, and I met with them, and we discussed potential expenditures and questions that we had about some of those regulations. So we sent several items to the congressman's office last week. He will be meeting with members of the administration, and we hope to receive responses soon, and then that would be the point where we could begin planning and talking about how we can actually spend those funds. We appreciate Congressman Kildee's office working with us as we value, and we will value the direction regarding the available uses of these funds as we move forward. Funds would be dispersed within 60 days of the bill being signed, so probably by the end of this fiscal year at a rate of 50% of the award. The remaining funds would be dispersed within a year after that. So it's 2 payments, and everything must be expended by the end of calendar year 2024. So we'll know more hopefully in the next week to 2 weeks when we hear back on the questions that we sent. And then I wanted to give a little bit more information about Council Communication 6, which is for firefighter fitness equipment. Council member Lamar Sylvia asked some questions about that, and I wanted to share information that Chief Van Loo put together, in particular, since he's been with the department for some time. I did send those questions to him. And so I'm going to read what he put together. Employee physical fitness is important to, physical fitness equipment has been provided at our fire stations for 30 plus years. Physical fitness and mental wellness are two of the top issues in the fire service today. They go hand in hand, and physical fitness is always a part of mental wellness programs. We have seen a 180-degree turn in the understanding of the importance of physical fitness in our department. In 1990, only a handful of firefighters used physical fitness equipment, and in 2021, most of the firefighters do some type of physical conditioning. There's been a huge cultural shift over the last few years, and the department is better for that. To keep our firefighters ready to respond to provide good coverage in all parts of the city, we do not allow our firefighters to go to gyms to get their workouts in. We've always allowed our firefighters the ability to exercise at their station in their downtime, typically after normal business hours. Every new fire station design you see in current time is some type of gym, physical fitness area incorporated in the design. Cardiac arrests are the leading cause of firefighter line of duty deaths. Fully believe that physical fitness is one of the best risk management tools we have to help reduce some of the healthcare costs that we can control. With reductions in staff, every firefighter has greater physical demands placed on them. It's in everyone's best interest to have physically fit firefighters. And I did mention this to Councilwoman Lamar Sylvia as well. Prior to the COVID pandemic, we did have a group of employees outside of the fire department that were putting together a proposal to give me, and they actually did give it to me, but with COVID, we didn't move forward with it, but they were requesting the same type of training equipment for the other employees so that they could do some kind of physically active activity at their lunchtime or on their breaks or something like that. I think it is something that is positive for employees and promotes health and welfare, which has a huge impact on the city as an employer, given that injuries and other health-related issues are a primary cause of a lost time and injuries in all of our departments. So it's something we'll look at. We may talk about it more, and we may have items like that come forward from other departments too. And then I did want to mention also a little bit more about these funds that we're talking about, because there were some questions about that as well. This is another purchase with donated funds from Mr. Rutledge's trust. Those funds were donated directly to the police and fire department. They cannot be used for any other department, and it is not a common or a well received practice to use funds, one-time source of revenue funds like that, for ongoing costs, which would be personnel. So early on, we did talk about capital type improvements like this, and I think those are important for both the police and fire department, because those are expenditures that have been largely overlooked probably for the last 10 years at a minimum, because we've had to focus on employee and pension and OPEB costs. So we haven't been buying new equipment in actually any of our departments for the most part. But we have an opportunity in the police and fire with this generous donation to be able to do that. And so I think both Chief Van Loo and Chief Ruth have taken a pretty measured look at the needs there. I know Chief Van Loo put together a team with his command staff to look at what they really needed at the fire department and what they haven't been able to fund with the general fund. And that's where these recommendations are coming from. And they do have a detailed spending plan, so we'll see more of these type of purchases with the funds come forward in the coming months, I believe. So that's all I had prepared for you this evening. I do want to get into our next presentation, because I think this is a very interesting project for you to learn about, and a little bit different way that we're presenting the project. So I am going to turn this over to Louis Taylor, who is our city engineer, and he's going to introduce our presenter, who will be talking about the Wickes Park Trail. So I think I did see Louis on already, so Louis, please start your introduction.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Morales. My name, as you said, is Louis Taylor. I'm the city engineer. We're here to go over some design options for the Iron Bell Trail through Wickes Park. But before we do, I'd like to just give a brief overview before I turn it over to the Spicer Group. The trail, as I said, is the Iron Bell Trail, which extends through 2 miles of Wickes Park. However, that's only a portion of it that will go through the city, eventually extends north all the way to Carlton Township. This project is estimated to be at about $1 million, which we have already won a $300,000 DNR trust fund grant, and the remaining $700,000 is going to be funded by the city of Saginaw. We are looking at additional funds to help offset additional grants to possibly offset some of the city's costs, and we're still working on that as we speak. I guess with that, I'd like to turn it over to Tanya Moore to dig into the details of the design options for the 2 mile stretch through Wickes Park. She'll be here shortly.
You're on mute.
And hear you.
Sorry.
You okay?
Tanya Moore with Spicer Group, and I'm a landscape architect with Spicer, and done a lot of trail and park projects throughout the state. I'm going to share my screen here. We've got a little presentation prepared on the Wickes Park Trail. So I'm going to start this and go through it. Can everybody see the screen? Can everybody see the screen?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So going through Wickes Park Trail, it is part of the Iron Bell Trail system, which is actually a statewide trail system that goes from Mackinac and actually Iron Mountain up in the UP all the way down to Belle Isle in Detroit, which is why it's called the Iron Bell Trail. Looking at this, the Wickes Park section, which is about a 2 mile section, we're looking at a few options. So option one, just as a general overview, and I'll go through these options in a little more detail throughout the presentation. Option one, well, let me back up. The way Wickes Park is now, I hope all of you are familiar with it, but right now what it is it's a drive through Wickes Park all the way from about Fordney Road on the north end by the YMCA, all the way south and eastward towards M13. So option one looks at keeping that drive open for the entire distance. Option two looks at closing that drive from the north end all the way to Naval Reserve Drive, and then keeping that drive open from Naval Reserve Drive to M13. Option three looks at a similar, but keeping it open a little bit further north to the basketball courts. So looking at option one in a little more detail, what we've got is option one keeps the drive open for the entire length. In every case, we have a connection to the existing trail system on the north end. So this will come and you can see just barely see that existing trail that comes and then goes under Ezra Rust. Every option includes lighting along the entire length of the trail. So the only differences are how much of that road do we keep open and how much is closed. So in this option, the road is about 30 foot wide right now. We would propose to take off about 9 foot of that and you can kind of see this detail. So you would, 21 foot of that roadway would be remaining. There would be a 5-foot green space buffer and then a 10-foot wide trail. So it keeps Wickes Park Drive open for the entire length. It reduces the width of the drive, and it puts the trail on the south and west sides of the drive with that green space between. Option 1, cost-wise, is about $944,000. And the pros are that there is a scenic drive along the Saginaw River for the entire length. It keeps vehicle access the entire length. The cons are that the city is unable to maintain that much roadway due to the cost of it. And some of the cons, vehicles in non-motorized path, a little bit close together, maybe a little less safe. So then looking at option 2, which is keeping Wickes Park Drive open from M13, just to orient you here, M13 is up here, Fordney is this here, and keeping the drive open from there to Naval Reserve Drive. So from this point northward, the road would close and it would only be trail system. And again, where the road remains, the same details pertain. So just a little blow up of from Fordney to Naval Reserve Drive, we're looking at a 10-foot wide path and no roadway. That would become green space. From Naval Reserve Drive south and eastward to M13, we look at the same detail we looked at in option 1, where we cut off some of the road. The road is, a reduced width. We have a green space, and then we have a 10-foot wide path. This option, did I not put the cost in this option? This option is, I did, just over $1 million, $9,836 roughly. The pros are that there's a significant reduction in road to maintain. There's a separation between vehicles and trail traffic, safer conditions for non-motorized traffic due to the separation from the vehicles. The cons are you can't drive through the entire park, and the access points are limited for vehicles to the park. Then looking at option 3, this is keeping, option 3, again, M13 up here, keeps the drive open with the path all the way up to, there's an existing neighborhood park here that has some basketball courts, some parking, but keeping that drive open to that point, it eliminates the drive from the basketball courts up to Fordney. It reduces the width of this drive on the south end. And again, the trail here would be on the south and west side of that drive. Looking at that in a little more closer from Fordney to the park, you'll see that we provided a small parking area, which actually exists there now. And so you'd be able to park in there, back up, and get back out. But again, it provides that 10-foot wide path, creating the green space and eliminating the roadway for that northern section. The southern section, similar to option 2, just a little bit further up. We go from that park area right here southward, keeping the road open with the path, reducing the width of the road, green space, 10-foot wide path. So option 3 is about $994,000 and some change. And again, the pros are not as much road to maintain. It maintains access and parking to the basketball courts in that neighborhood park. There's safer conditions for non-motorized traffic due to the separation from the vehicles. It provides for future vehicular access to that park area. The cons, again, are you can't drive through the park, and some of the access points are limited a little bit north of there. looking at all three of these options, we looked at a recommendation that option 3 seems to be the best option. It seems to be a compromise between all options. Again, looking at the pros, not as much road to maintain, so and that really is a funding issue. It maintains access to the park. It's a safe condition for the trail and the vehicles to be together, and it provides for future connections. And I'm going to go through some of those future connections. So we're looking at a cost of just under $1 million to do that. And future access points, and this would be regardless of what option we're looking at. We're looking at an option. This is on the section on the very southeast end at M13 to bring that trail around and then cross over at Elsie. And Elsie, this point was chosen is because that's where the Iron Bell Trail comes down Elsie and then connects at Washington and goes down into Bridgeport Township and then further southward. We would look at future connections to connect to the neighborhood. So this is Wickes Park Drive, and north is this way, south is to the right. And so we would look at connecting that trail into these neighborhoods here at Douglas Street and Russell. We would also, on this other one, look at connecting to the apartments here off Wickes Park Drive. A little bit further northward at the park, the option provides for a future vehicle connection to the existing parking lot there at the neighborhood park and the basketball courts. And then at Center Street, we would look at connecting that trail. So on the other side of the river, over here, where Plant 2 used to be for General Motors, the county is developing that into a park. And the thought was that it would be nice to be able to connect this and get up off of Wickes Park Trail and cross the river to get over. And so some future connections would be, there is quite a slope here, so we can't just come up and connect. We've got to come up and around. And then to provide some sort of a trailhead parking lot here with a connection to that trail. And with that, I think we'll take any questions. Stop sharing. Any questions?
What are some other ways or grants that could be used to offset the costs of either of these constructions?
You want to talk about that, or yeah, me too? Okay, Louis is going to talk about that just a minute here.
Yeah, just real quick, some of the grants that we're pursuing right now. Obviously, we got the DNR Trust Fund grant. We are looking at it's called the Saginaw Watershed Initiative Network. We're working on that grant, and we're looking at the Saginaw Community Foundation Healthy Communities grant. Also the Wickes Foundation and Consumers Energy Foundation. Those are some of the ones we're working on currently to see if we can obtain more funding to help offset the city's costs.
Great. And then how long from when you decide what option you're going to choose to completion, what would the time frame look like?
Well, we're planning the construction for 2022. I'm sorry, 2022. So we got to have it in time to get it all processed and put through. But the deadlines on some of these are coming up for submission. Most of them we got to know are submit by May 1, and we'll know shortly after that. We got plenty of time to get them in and find out. But then we got to do the plans and specifications to get it ready for construction in 2022. So, as far as when we'll know exactly, it's we would have to dig into that and find out for sure. But a lot of them they turn around in a few months.
Okay.
Anyone else with questions?
No. The question I got a question.
Yes, sir.
It don't seem to be a lot of cost into keeping it open all the way versus cutting it off. The cost is almost, not a whole lot off. The only problem is that we have to have the city doing the cleaning it off. Is that correct?
Yeah, well, part of it is it's a private drive, and the city has we don't have a funding vehicle that's very easy to use to maintain that roadway. When it becomes part of the Iron Belt Trail and becomes non-motorized, we can use what we call Act 51 funds on it, and be able to take care of a smaller area rather than such a large surface area. Being 30-foot wide for the length of it as a private drive is very tedious and expensive to maintain, and I don't think it's really been touched in years. To be honest with you.
Well, I'm just hoping that we can keep the whole road open, sort of connect to the other part. Maybe one day we can have even wrap all the way around, because I know there's other land coming around there, and if, all the way around to the other part, so those are my comments. That's all I got. Thank you.
Thank you.
I would stay in, from working with Phil from quite some time, you'll notice that Park Drive is typically closed every year. And that's an issue with frost freeze because it's not designed, unless Louis would like to comment more, but it's not designed to have the amount of traffic that it usually has because people use that roadway as a shortcut or a cut through, and it was never designed to be that. As Louis mentioned, it was a private drive, so we're getting traffic on there that is more like a regular Act 51 funded road, but it's a private road, so we don't have any funding to actually take care of that road. So we've been looking for a way to make this more of a trail rather than a driving road for a number of years, and this extra grant I think is a good way to do it. But with the drive-through, I think right now I think it's closed to through traffic for much of the way, or it was recently. And I assume if it was, without a complete rebuild, we would probably have to continue to do that anyway. Is that true, Louis?
Yeah, actually, you're right on target. We have to shut it down for frost laws because the design of the road is, like you said, not really designed to handle that kind of traffic or that volume of traffic. And it hasn't been maintained. So anything that we're just trying to hold it together the best we can. And part of that is shutting it down through the frost laws and through the winter because it's just too hard. And we can't plow it because of being a private drive. There's no way for us to get out there and plow. We probably do more damage than good plowing it anyway.
So I have a question. I'm sorry. Did somebody else want to say something?
Yeah, I'm trying. I sent a message. I don't know if anyone can read it.
I did. I tried to put my hand up to cover you.
Okay.
Okay. Can you please?
Councilwoman Lamar Sylvia posted in the chat, wondering if for some of us who are a little bit more visual, in-person tactile people, would it be possible, and maybe just the council can organize it amongst themselves if need be even, but for us to set up some sort of, just drive through so we have a little bit more of a firsthand, visual of it. Did I do okay, Councilwoman?
Yeah, yes, and I agree with Mayor Pro Tem Balls. I would like to see it open. I mean, there's other things, that can be done to keep that open all the way as it has been. And the upkeep, I don't know how that fell in the cracks, but it should have been left open all the time. And I'm sure we could get speed bumps. Can you all hear me? I'm sorry. Speed bumps or something. Speed bumps or something my wish would be to leave that open.
So I have a question for Mr. Taylor and Ms. Moore. Is this just a city project, or is the people, there was a committee that was working on this. Is that committee still functionable? Are you collaborating with them? How are we doing this? I mean, I knew that we were doing the trail. I know we talked about it, but they also had a group that was actually working on bringing it back up to code. Because at one point we talked about the armory that's over there now that has built that $1 billion program, I say, back off the road. Well, when it was just Wickes Park in my days, the armory was bringing them tankers in there, tearing up the road as well. Yes, it was a private road. And so I guess my question to you two young people is, do we have citizens participation, or is this just a city function?
Yeah, we had a public hearing, and that was a little bit before my time, but Beth London's sitting here and would be more than willing to go over that if you want to hold on for a second.
Thanks, Beth.
Thank you. Beth London, Deputy Director of Public Services, former city engineer. Yes, I feel that this option 3, takes into account their consideration for the development that they want to do in every area. They have a plan to do certain things around the Center Street Bridge, to do some things, improvements at Fordney Street, to do improvements to the basketball court, put in a playground at the basketball court, a nature center further down, south. Well, I would say it's south of the east-west piece. And by providing the access to the points that we have proposed in option 3, you would have access to all those amenities. And I feel what we think is that we need to concentrate on trying to improve the park, not maintaining the road. And to give a little bit of history, when MCVI has in the past, I guess they're the ones that started the half marathon. And there became an issue because they felt they couldn't run on Wickes Park Drive. It was in such poor condition. And because it is a private road, we cannot fix the road with road money. We can maintain a trail. So even if we leave part of the road open, we still cannot use road money to maintain that section of road. That would have to be something that's funded with general fund money. If you leave the road open all the way, we would build a separate trail. We can maintain that trail with road money, and we are required to use road money, spend 1% of our road money on non-motorized improvements. But the road, piece of the road that's left open, whether it goes from one end to the other, or whether it goes up to the basketball courts, or whether it goes to Naval Reserve Drive, would have to be funded with general fund money.
I would just add to what Beth said, just for some additional background information. The Act 51 dollars that she and Louis mentioned are gas and weight tax dollars. So those are restricted funds, like she mentioned, to public roads. They can't be used for private roads. However, as Beth mentioned, there is that portion that can be used for non-motorized paths, and that's the aim here, to be able to use that part of our gas and weight tax to maintain part of this pathway or trailway.
So Tim and the crew. So in other words, if we cut it off at the basketball, there's some amenities that are going to come with that. Beth, help me understand. Is that what you're saying? That the basketball court and some of this stuff can be repaired or fixed if that happened, or did I hear it wrong?
we think we could concentrate our funds on that, those amenities and help Sharon Dinsey. I understand she left the area, but her group, Go High, work on those amenities and raise funds. We'd like to first start with connections to the neighborhood because it does seem to be a concern that there's no neighborhood access. That was one of their concerns. And then we would go from there to start working on the amenities, but we would be applying for grants, Mayor, to work on most of those improvements and future amenities.
Okay. So, in other words, it'll be an attraction. It'll be an attraction for us.
Yeah.
That's what I mean.
Mayor, then one of the things that we could do as well is we have been applying for DNR trust fund dollars for a number of years for the Celebration Park area. That is, I think, primarily built out. We could look at some improvements for Crayola Park, but it's also potential there that we could start applying and move on to Wickes Park. I think, I know Phil and I have talked about that. So there's potential there. DNR trust fund is it's not, it's a grant that you have to compete with, but the city of Saginaw usually scores really well for that program, and potentially something like this type of enhancement for that neighborhood could score pretty well on that. So that's a potential for that funding as well.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Beth.
I just want to say one other thing. One reason why we were concentrating on a trail is that seems to be what the DNR Trust Fund was focusing on. That they have different categories of funding too. And so I'm not sure. That's one reason why we scored so high on this grant, I guess. It was for a non-motorized trail, and that is a statewide focus.
Then we got the best team in Saginaw working on this. So,
is there time later to ask other questions? I don't want to stay on this long, but I have many more questions.
Yeah, and we would be happy to meet any kind of group down there in the park to, as you suggested, to do a walkthrough, drive-through. What I would suggest is that you call myself or Louis Taylor, and we're both on the website, in the system. Call us if somebody wants to organize that, and we can set that up, or we can even call the manager's office maybe and talk to Vicki and set that up. Would that work?
Yes, keep in mind, we're not asking for anything at this meeting for this item. This is just an update on a project.
I understand, but since it was bought, I do have questions, but with my throat, I just cannot ask the questions in that way. And then so many questions that I have, but I'd like to be able to ask questions at a later date. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Please call me or Louis.
Thank
you. Mayor, this is Councilman Ostash.
Yes.
Yeah, to maybe help out Councilwoman Sylvia Lamar Sylvia, maybe we could bring this up under miscellaneous business at our next meeting. Would that be possible? That way we could have the engineering department here again and we could talk about it. I also do have a couple questions. I've been kind of, walking down the street. Naval Drive is there, so that would still allow for the kayak launches to be open, because I know that we fixed those up last year under one. We did like a riverfront cleanup. But I was trying to hear, Beth, you were talking about the basketball hoop area. That's my question, is would that be no longer? Because I know they were working on that. Did I hear that would, no?
No, yes, they're going to fix it. They're going to fix
it. So that's still going to be there, because that would be part of the trail. So one of the questions I generated, and I was listening to Mr. Taylor when he was speaking too, if this becomes part of the trail system, then Act 51 funds could be used to maintain that area. Would those funds be available if the entire street was still open as it's designated part of the Iron Bell?
No, it would have to be a separate trail.
Got it. Okay, thank you. Just want to make sure I understand.
So, Mr. Manager, I know that this was an informational piece tonight, but because there are so many questions, can we visit this again? And I like the idea of doing a tour because the weather's changing now. And Miss Elva, she may feel better, so that she can ask her questions, and all council people can ask their questions. So maybe, just maybe, we can do a road trip.
I think the best thing to do would be to go out there and Louis and Beth and Phil Carwatt can meet with you all and walk you right through there and talk about different parts of the park, and then you can ask questions while you're there. And we could follow up at a future council meeting. So we can try to schedule that in the next couple of weeks. I think we have time to do that. So we'll plan that. Just email my office, and whatever council members would like to attend something like that, just let us know, and we'll schedule that with Bill Carwatt and Louis and Beth.
Thank you. Any more questions?
Mayor, just Councilman Ostash again. Just thanks to the manager for being open to that, because I know a lot of people are watching the meeting right now, and we council people will probably get some phone calls after this and some text messages that people that are involved in our parks and are very passionate about our parks. So this will give some opportunity for our citizens, our residents, and to also to contact us with their own opinions after they've seen this. Thank you.
You welcome. Tim, I need to ask you, Mr. Manager, the group that was involved, I heard Mr. Taylor, I think, say that the young lady left the area. So is that group still actively involved in getting funds and stuff? Ms. Beth, maybe you can help me.
You know, they did do a project on the basketball courts. We did not think it was very successful. I think they put a sealant on the court rather than redo the surface itself. And I just heard from someone else that Sharon Dinsey was no longer in the area. So we'll have to do some checking on that group. And I know Darwin Baranski was also working with her and came to the public. We did have a public hearing, and there were several neighborhood people, and also Darwin Baranski was there with Sharon Dinsey. So we'll have to check on that.
Okay, thank you.
One
Any
other
more questions?
Yes. I thought the trail and the road was two separate things. I thought the trail it had a buffer between it, so much grass, then the trail, and then the road. Am I right?
In the first option, we would keep the road open. We would take about 9 feet of the roadway, convert it to a trail, and we'd have a green space all the way between it. In the second option, we would close the road piece between Naval Reserve Drive and Fordney Street, where it connects to the existing Riverwalk Iron Bell Trail. And then they would have a separate trail from the road from M13 to Naval Reserve Drive. In the third option, we would close the road between the basketball courts and Fordney Street, and we would have a trail separate from the road from M13 to the basketball courts.
Okay.
So it's a matter of providing access and how far to provide it in. And the reason why that is something that we support is not keeping the road open all the way through is we're just not able to maintain it with general fund monies, and it needs to really be redone, the whole road.
Yes, I agree. So, say for instance, we take one of the, we don't keep the road all the way open. Then maybe later, a few years back, maybe we can open it up all the way. Did that, sort of go from Washington all the way back all the way back to Jitway Island and 40 Park area. That could be an option. Is that true?
We'd have to it wouldn't be that easy to do that, no.
Yeah.
And I do want to make sure everybody understands that the money that we're talking about, this $900,000 or $1 million, this is just for the trail. This is not any money to resurface the part of the road that stays open.
Okay, that's just for the trail. Thank you.
And it includes about $250,000 to do lights.
Okay.
Through the whole length of it.
Okay. Thank you.
Do we have any more questions?
How was the road maintained previously?
It's not really maintained. I can tell you that MCVI purchased cold patch before their race and went down and patched it because we couldn't do that with Act 51 funds, and the general fund at the time could not really support that.
So, Monique, they've been patching it, not doing what we need to do. It's being patched.
It really, the whole thing should be, you could crush and shape it and overlay the whole thing, but that's a 30-foot wide road, and it would be rather expensive. You know that cost? Get that cost.
Any more questions of these young people? Okay, Mr. Manager.
That concludes the management update.
Thank you so much. I'd like to thank the presenters. And young people, if we think of any more questions, please put them down and you can forward them to the city manager and he'll forward them on to that department. Madam Clerk.
Mayor, we are now at the consent agenda.
The agenda has been available at City Hall and on the city web page and on SGTV channel 191. I need a motion with exceptions for the consent agenda.
Bench moves.
Support.
It's been moved in support. Do we have any exceptions? Hearing no exceptions, all of those, let's signify by saying aye.
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 All those opposed? Thank you. The ayes have it. Madam Clerk.
Mayor, your next order of business is boards, commission, and committee reports.
Does anyone have any board reports? At the last meeting, I brought up the school liaison committee. I am stepping down and there will be one seat open. And it is up for whoever wants it. And for my fellow council persons, please get involved in the board or commission so that we can all have something to report at this time. I did go to, well, I am up for nominations for chairman of the board for Region 7. And we will know the results on the first Thursday of this month, of next month. And so we may have a new chairperson, which will be your mayor. And so we're going to get us some Region 7 dollars in our city as well now. Okay, so that's all I got to report. Does anybody else have any boards and commission that they sit on?
Madam Mayor, this is Councilwoman Autumn. I am
Yes,
on the Saginaw Economic Development Corporation Board. However, we have not had a meeting, but I would just like to report that I now serve as vice president of that committee. So hopefully some information coming forward, especially on the Behringer building, and I'll report that as soon as I get some additional info.
We thank you so much. So
May I? Oh, I'm sorry. It's Annie.
Yes.
Sorry. May
Yes.
I just wanted to go back to what Mayor Moore was saying about having a new chairperson at Region 7. I don't know if other people realize that is a really big deal. The city of Saginaw and the county of Saginaw in general has 2 seats on that commission, because one for the county and one for the city that Mayor Moore currently serves in, and I had served in that position previously. And that was a hard fought position for that committee to include. and at the time that it was included, because we have such a high population of elderly folks who receive those services. So not only to hear that Yvonne, my darling Yvonne, is moving on, which I know she's wanted to do for quite some time, but to hear that Mayor Moore might be stepping into that position, I cannot tell you how excited I am about that. And I just had to add that. So thank you. And that, not just because it's Mayor Moore, but just the fact that the representative from the city of Saginaw, making it Mayor Moore is just even better. But the fact that we have the representative from the city of Saginaw chairing that commission, potentially it is a very, very good thing for the elderly community in the city of Saginaw and everywhere in the Region 7. So I'm very excited.
Just one more thing. So I'm going to need y'all help. So, hearing no more reports, Madam Clerk.
Mayor, our next order of business is appointment of board and commission members.
Can we do those two together?
Because, yes, please.
Okay.
Leaving room for exception.
Okay. Thank you so much. We have two board committee appointments. I need a motion, leaving room for exceptions.
So moved.
Move.
I had two people to chime
I'll support
in.
it. I'll support it.
It's been moved and support. Do we have any questions? Hearing no questions, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? The ayes have it. Madam Clerk.
Mayor, we are now at resolutions. Our first one tonight is to certify the 2021 single lot assessment tax roll.
I need a motion to adopt.
Bench moves.
Support.
It's been moved in support. Do we have any discussion? Hearing no discussion, let's take a vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 All those opposed? The ayes have it. Madam Clerk.
Our second resolution is approving the cost agreement with the Michigan Department of Transportation for the rehabilitation of the pump station located on M46 and the CSX railroad tracks for the engineering section right-of-way division.
I need a motion to adopt.
So moved.
Bench seconds.
It's been moved in second. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye, please.
Aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? The ayes have it. Madam Clerk.
Our next resolution is authorizing to seek fiscal year 2024 local bridge program funds from the Michigan Department of Transportation.
I need a motion to adopt.
So
moved.
I'll support that. Michael
I'll
support
second. Yeah.
We got two Michaels, so one, okay.
Yeah.
Ms. Jan's got it. Do we have any questions? Let's take a vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 All those opposed? The ayes have it. Madam Clerk.
Our final resolution tonight is authorizing issuance of water supply system revenue and revenue refunding bonds, Series 2021.
I need a motion to adopt.
Flores moves.
Bench seconds.
It's been moved in second. Do we have any discussion? Let's take a vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? The ayes have it. Madam Clerk,
Mayor, we are now at miscellaneous business.
is there any other business that we need to cover? Does anyone have anything that they would like to cover?
Councilwoman Bench does.
Yes.
Okay. Actually, I have two things. The first one is just a little clarification. We meet in person next meeting, and I just wanted a little clarification for those of us who are not as enthusiastic about meeting in person as I am. just to make sure that we know what the carve-outs and caveats are for anybody who might need to stay home. That would be my first thing. Somebody could.
I will ask the city attorney to respond to that.
Sure. Assuming that the legislature doesn't take any further action to make any additional amendments to the Open Meetings Act, as it stands, there would be 3 allowances for, well, 2 allowances for individual members to attend virtually, or 1 allowance to allow the entire council to continue with virtual meetings. For the entire council to continue with virtual meetings, there would have to be a local state of emergency or state of disaster declared, local or state of emergency. For individual members to request to be accommodated and attend virtually, they would have to either be absent for military service, which I don't think is at issue, or they would have to be absent due to a medical condition that prevented them from attending. It couldn't be a medical condition of somebody that they lived with. It would have to be a personal medical condition to them. Those are currently the exceptions that are carved out that would require accommodation for virtual meeting. Anybody who may be concerned about returning to in-person meetings but doesn't fall into one of those exceptions, I believe the law would require that they be considered absent.
Thank you for that information.
Sure.
If I may, I'm just wondering, with the possibility of some of us appearing virtually from home, and just in hindsight, if it might be wise to, and how to go about doing so, wise to update our council rules to require that people keep their cameras on and appear on camera at all times. I don't know if that's something that we should have entertained in the first place, but I'm wondering, with the possibility of some people broadcasting from home, if that might be a wise decision. Or if I need to make a motion, I don't know.
I don't know if we can probably consider that a request and bring proposed language back for consideration.
That would satisfy me.
I asked that question in our last Capcom meeting, and I can explain that further later.
Will you send us an email, Councilwoman, because we know that you can't talk. So if you email us, we can get it even faster. Okay, because I don't want you to strain it more than you have to. I'm sorry. You know what I'm saying? Because I know how it is. Struggling, no, I don't want you to do no more damage than you've already probably doing talking this little bit. So please email it to us. Councilwoman Bench, you are on mute.
I'm unmuted now, I think, and I apologize. Yeah. My dogs are being loud in the background. I don't know if anybody can hear, but I just have one other thing, and I don't know if I need to put it in the form of a motion. But I did want to request that we consider putting together a resolution that would support encouraging the state and federal legislatures that are considering some of the changes to our civil rights laws to include the LGBT community. It would be possible if we could have the manager direct staff to put together a resolution just reaffirming that Saginaw is a welcoming and open city, and encouraging people to adopt that attitude, but also going one further, and thank you, Reggie, going one further and using that resolution as something that we can send to our legislators on both the state and federal level, encouraging them to do what needs to be done to expand those protections. And that's all I have.
Madam Clerk, I don't know how we handle that. Can you help me with that? You or Amy or the city manager?
I believe that's a request then directed back to the city manager. So I'll let him respond to that, how he'd like to handle it.
Thank you, Miss Jan.
You're welcome.
Um, without further discussion, it seems that if there's no objection from other council members, I'll take that as direction, and we'll prepare a resolution as requested and provide that to Councilwoman Bench, and she can bring it forward at an upcoming meeting.
Okay. Does anyone have anything else that they need to say for the good and the order?
I do. Just for our city manager in regards to the funding, in your report you did say that there was some communication with our representatives. Will City Council be invited to those meetings with our representative and the senator, and/or any information that was communicated with our legislator regarding the funding? Will that information be shared before you get a response? Will any of that information be shared with council as well?
So the meeting with Senator Horn and Representative O'Neill, we will plan just to include the mayor and the mayor pro tem. The reason being that we don't want to have an issue with any quorum for council, so we have to limit that to just those leadership positions. We'll always share whatever we get from those from Senator Horn and Representative O'Neill. We'll share that information with the rest of council. And as I mentioned, if you all have issues or questions, then please send those forward. And also, I'm certain that Senator Horn's office and Representative O'Neill's office would answer any questions directly if you wanted to give them a call or email them. The questions that we sent Congressman Kildee's office were kind of more technical what if type questions. So I think it would be probably more useful to you all if once we get the responses back, I'll provide that to council, and maybe we'll do that in the form of a report so that you can have that information. If you go through the legislation and look at some of the restrictions, the funding, it appears that the funding is rather limited on what you can be used. So we're trying to get them to interpret that, I guess, as broad as could be. For instance, the items that are very specifically outlined are loss of revenue, which is one right now. When we look at 2020, we don't have a huge loss of revenue from income tax like we projected we may have. One of the benefits of this legislation is it does go for 3 years. So if we see that lag time in the next couple of years, that could be something that we use the funding for. I think in Saginaw, if you follow our economic impact and economic discussions right now, our largest employer is healthcare. So in Saginaw County, I don't think we saw cuts there like we did at some of the other larger healthcare, U of M and some of them Detroit did cut positions. I don't know that Covenant did that. So we're not seeing that decrease. We might know more as we get further into the tax season. But that's one of the outlined uses. Water and wastewater uses are one of the defined uses that's directly stated. There's some other vague ones, and those are kind of the questions that we had. And also if it was similar to, would it be interpreted the same way the CARES Act money was, which was the last funding? So once we get those responses back, I think that will make more sense to give you all a report. And anytime you have questions about that, just feel free to contact me. And we're doing more one-on-one meetings at City Hall. So if council members, if you'd like to come in and talk about those things, so that I know a number of you get questions from people, and and that's, you're trying to get more information about these things so that you can inform them when they ask you. That's important. So always feel free anytime to call, or you can stop in. You might want to give Vicki a call before you do that, because I have a lot of meetings during the day, but just to try to set something up where if you guys want to come in, feel free to do so, and we can provide you information regarding this or any other subject. I know that looking at these losses and that we anticipated is going to be big for a lot of people, and you'll probably receive questions about that. We had a lot of people across the state working from home, and that's the next thing I think we're really looking at for potential loss of income when we start doing these this tax season and these income tax returns. When they start coming in, potentially we could see larger refunds than we've seen in the past because of that work from home. Again, we'll get that information to you as we have it. And, any other subject, just give me a call or email.
Thank you. I did get that information from our mayor, so I just wanted that information just to be shared on public record so people would see and hear some of the things that you provided. So I do appreciate for you going into detail about those funding.
Can I just say this, Tim? The meeting was because this is a new project. Nobody really knows. And if all you really know me, like you say you know me, or you think you do, you know that I don't give no money back. So we talked about that this morning. We're not giving any money back, so we don't want to pay any back. So we want to make sure all of our I's are dotted, our T's are crossed, so that when we begin to spend, if we don't get any backlash. And like I reported on Community Connection, this was a conversation so that we all can learn how to spend this money. So trust me, it's going to be spent right. We can think of a lot of things we need to spend it for, but we're going to have to, it's a limitation of what we can spend it on. Any other questions? I have one that I need to say. On Saturday, I don't know how many council people do plan to come, but I need you to be mindful. We can only have 4 at a time because we don't want to say that we're congregating, even though we're doing something for the community. So if more than 4 comes, I don't have a problem with sitting in my car or stepping back for a minute. So I just wanted to make sure that we don't have more than 4 at one given time. So if you want to call me and tell me what time, if you plan to come, what time you want to come, and we can coordinate it that way. Other than that, that's it. Anyone else have anything else they want to say?
Yeah, this is Councilman Ostash.
Yes, sir.
So I have a question for the manager on homes in the city that are owned by the land bank. Is it standard practice for the land bank to engage with our full-time employees to present some sort of written interest quasi development agreement that our city staff would then review with the land bank for every home?
Every home?
Or why would we even do that? Why would the land bank request information from our engineering or our inspections department when somebody has expressed interest into a home that they want to purchase from the land bank? I'm asking, why would the land bank reach out to the city staff and require that person to talk to somebody from our city staff?
Well, I think the land bank works cooperatively with the city quite frequently, and the land bank works with public services, they work with inspections, they work with scenic, so it is very cooperative, and I think it is pretty common for them to contact city staff to ask questions about property, or also to get input. I guess if there was a development agreement, they might ask if, or a development agreement proposed, they may ask city staff for their input on whether they think that the project is something that could be successful or is even feasible. I could see that in the realm of their cooperative function.
Okay. And also I'm going to refer to, we had a wonderful training opportunity that Councilman Flores talked about earlier, where we did a structural collapse on 2 homes in the city for training for the fire department. We did that in conjunction with some of our other local municipalities that surround us. The home at 820 Cleveland is an interesting perspective. To say that I'm happy that that home was chosen would be an understatement. And there was interest in that home a while ago, back when I was on the zoning board of appeals, from a gentleman from Midland who wanted, in August of 2020, who wanted to keep it a multi-unit, and with our current ordinance, you can't do that. The home had been vacant for over a year and it would have to go back to a single unit. It wasn't too long after that a gentleman by the name of Josh Clark that I had been working with contacted me because Josh had submitted his interest to the land bank for this particular property. Josh had came back to the area. He's brought his family back here. He's got a business on East Genesee. It's a very unique graphic art business that's very rare, and he's one of the only people that knows how to do it. Josh grew up in that home, Mr. Manager. And Josh wanted to take that home back to a single family, and he wanted to renovate it over time, putting his own sweat equity in there. The home had an HVAC system that needed to be upgraded. There was some plumbing that needed to be updated. There was electrical that needed to be updated. But Josh reached out to a council person when he finally hit that wall, as people do in the city, where they just can't they can't get forward. And Josh had already talked to the land bank. He had talked to Tom Miller Sr., who had then told him to talk to one of our city staff, John Stemple, and to submit a letter of interest, which I have a copy of the letter. And the letter clearly stated what Josh was going to do to the property, bringing everything back up to code. Josh even had material that from other jobs that he could have gotten, started on this property. Josh was then bounced back to Mr. Miller Sr., who then bounced him back to our city staff. It was like a ping pong game that went back and forth. And this, last time I had conversation with Josh would have been right around December. I was about ready to follow back with him real soon to see what was happening, if he had made any headway. And then we got an email last week that home had been chosen for the demolition, for the deconstruction. And that project takes time to plan. My last communications with Josh were right in about the same time frame that project, according to you, would have been decided on for that home. I would like to ask in the future, because now I went over to that area, and some of the reason too, and I want my council members, I want my colleagues to know this. Josh also noticed in the neighborhood that some of the homes were being fixed up, and that's what he wanted to do. And I took a ride over to 820 Cleveland over the weekend. And now who's going to maintain that lot? I've been told that home was a lot for somebody to take on and it's going to be expensive. Well, let me tell you of a person who's restored an 1893 Victorian that had the windows open and the wind blowing through and there wasn't nothing left in this house. When you have passion and you have a plan, there isn't nothing that you can't do over time. And so I am going to put it on the record, I am very upset with what happened. Because we tried to work it out. This person tried to work it out. And I want to put this on the record too, because right when I was raking leaves in the fall, it was about November, a gentleman stopped over to my house. He said, "What a beautiful home you have there." And we started to talk, and I told him about the renovations that had went on with this home. And he said, "Well, I just bought a house over here in the neighborhood." I said, "I bought a house on 9th Street. And I said, "Well, who'd you buy your house off?" He said, "I bought off the land bank." I said, "Did you have to give them a development agreement? Did you have to go see anybody from our city staff?" Nope. And that home doesn't even have a furnace. Matter of fact, the day he stopped in here, and I wish I had this guy's name, all I can remember is the silver car they drove with his wife, because I welcomed him to the neighborhood. And I said, and he started explaining to me, so I'm going to Menards right now. He says, "I need to go get a furnace." He says, we got to talking about this house that Josh was trying to get. No electrical, no plumbing, no furnace. Yet, he gets a property from the land bank. I've got a house sitting across the street from me here, and I think I need to talk to the land bank because I've researched a little bit into other cities. There is some sort of a development agreement that goes along with it, that if they can't meet, just like we have when we sell a property to, Lee Mansion is a perfect example, or properties that we're in conjunction with Shaheen Development, that certain things are supposed to happen at certain times. Because now this other one across the street from me, there hasn't been nothing done for 8 years, and the porch has fallen off. So I think there's a few things here that maybe we should be working with our local land bank on, that if they are going to sell properties in the city, that there should be something that goes along with it so that they can make sure the buyers can get things to a certain point where they can get some sort of a certificate for the occupancy. But I'm going to go back to my story that I'm telling here tonight. I think it is very sad what happened to this person. I'm still trying to think of a way to call him and have the conversation. And that's all I have to say about it.
Thank you, Councilman Stash.
You're
This
welcome.
is Councilwoman Autumn. I'm aware of this story, and Bill, I support you 100%. And I understand that we have partnerships and relationships, and I'm not saying it's not a cooperative relationship, but this story is not. So hopefully we can rectify future endeavors, but also get some more detail behind it, because it is just unfortunate how, as my colleague stated, Bill is very passionate about historic preservation and just and we all are to an extent, especially the feelings and the situations that happen to our constituents, because we are a part of that community. So I hope there's some more details, some more information to shed light on this story. But Bill, just know that myself and probably some other colleagues support you in this.
So the record
Wanting
is
to figure out what's
too.
going on.
Yeah, Councilwoman Scherzer, just so the record is straight too, this home really it was not a historic home, and neither was the architecture. But I think getting it rehabbed could have greatly kept that neighborhood intact, because it did take up a fairly large part of that block. And the homes around it, like I said, on the other blocks, have been fixed up as well. So I was hoping that in a project like this that we could have found another building, maybe in a block where on the outskirts of the city where nothing is left. I don't know what the requirements more to pick the structures, and I didn't see the other house that's on, there's another home on 9th Street, which I did drive down that street today too, and some of the homes there are smaller in scope. This was a large 2-story. So.
Councilwoman Bench here, if I may.
Yes.
Thank you. I just wanted to thank Councilman Ostash for bringing this up. I have heard bits and pieces of this situation, and it definitely does cause a tremendous amount of concern and question about how things transpired. I can only imagine just the sentimental sadness that goes on when this is your childhood home. My childhood home, one of the two, still exists, but it's a rental, and I empathize with the man trying to acquire this property. But I would just add that while we do have cooperative relationships, I think there are some things that are definitely lacking in our cooperative relationship, unfortunately, with the county land bank. And I say that as somebody who has really bit her tongue over the last decade for the sake of maintaining relationships, because I, as a council member, can shoot my mouth off at the table, but I don't go to work Monday through Friday, during the day, and have to deal with the consequences of my big bazoo. So I am lending some my voice to Councilman Ostash, is that we need to revisit the situation. I know it is a county land bank, but we really need to revisit and have some conversations, and not just specifically with this situation, but the phrase that keeps coming to mind is make it make sense. And I need to know something that makes this situation here specifically make sense. and there's just a lot of things, and I'll put them together in an email and send them out, because it's not fair to say I have questions and then not present them. But I do have some questions that I would like some information to hopefully make it make sense, because I think we're doing some citizens a disservice with the way things that are not within our control, that we don't have direct oversight, but it's definitely a cause for concern. It's something that we universally, I know many council members here, universally concerns about this. So we need some information that we can either make it make sense to our constituents, or we got to make some changes to the best of our abilities. And that's all I have, because I know we've been here for a while. But thank you, Council.
Yeah,
okay, I think.
Yep.
Go ahead, Bill.
Yeah, just to close it out, I would like to, I'm going to get a hold of Mr. Novak at the Land Bank and trying to see if there's anything that I can propose for him to take on, because I know, like, if their commercial structures are purchased, which I know one just sold today, there's definitely a lot of things that you need to do to present that you are going to make that commercial structure whole and safe again. So I'd like to kind of see that happening. And I know that's happening in Bay City right now with a home that's being rehabilitated over there, that there were certain things that had to happen in order for that person to take ownership and get the deed. So thank you for listening tonight. I appreciate it.
No, thank you. City manager, I'd like to get the land bank in, and we can sort of talk a little bit more about this in the future, so that we can see how we can really partner together. So I guess it's a request that I'd like to have them present at a later date, and we can try to make some sense of this. We know that we can't make sense of it now because it's over, but in the future, as I always say, going forward, we all have a workable relationship. So Tim, I'm sorry, Mr. Morales, if you can you put that on your to-do list as well, please?
Thank you.
Yes, I'll ask the treasurer. Of course, it's up to him if he wants to come or not. But I'm sure Treasurer Novak is willing to meet with people and talk about the potentials there. And it's I'm not clear on if they really do development agreements like we do with a lot of our properties. It's probably a good idea for something for them to look at, because I know of some other issues that have come up with maybe people not using lots or different things for the proposed purpose that they originally said. So it is a good method that we use, and I'm sure we'd be happy to share some of those agreements with the county's attorney, whoever that happens to be, and with the treasurer, so they have some samples like that. But we'll definitely contact Mr. Novak, and whether he presents or not, I'm sure Madam Mayor, and he'd be willing to meet with you and other council members to talk about these issues.
Okay, I thank you so much.
Madam Mayor, one last thing. Yes, I'm gonna be that councilwoman to do that.
Yes, ma'am.
I know with COVID, we attempted prior, but is there any way to try to extend the invitation again, or reach out to our fellow county commissioners to have that meeting that was discussed? We have we have some new council members, but I think it was something that we were attempting to do, to set up as a joint meeting. Is there a way that we can extend it again? In good faith.
We can ask the question. I don't know what the answer is going to be, but I'm sure we could ask the question again, because we were trying to develop a relationship. We were, and we still are. We still want to develop relationships. Okay, so Mr. Manager, myself, and you, and Mayor Pro Tem Balls, and Miss Amy, can we talk about that? Can we make an appointment to sit down and talk about how we can come together and work on some issue with the commissioners who have part of the city?
That's a great idea.
Because on both ends, we have new council members, we have new commissioners. So I'm just saying, if we can try to extend the invitation again, whether it goes nowhere, at least us as a council are attempting. So that's the best we can do.
I support Councilwoman Scherzer because nothing's going to get done until we sit down at a table and start having a conversation. And planning.
Yeah, I would only note at this point, certainly that can be explored into the future probably a little more readily. Under the current order, there's a limit to 25 people for indoor gatherings. So once you get a public meeting with both the council and the full county board in place, that starts getting a little tight on numbers. So certainly that's something to explore down a little bit down the road when things start opening up again.
Well, that was my request when it opens up some.
Yep.
So, Councilwoman Scherzer, how does that sound?
That's why I prefaced it with the whole COVID thing. I agree. As long as we continue the conversation and continue to
move forward.
Yes, thank you.
Yes.
And I'm done.
Okay. Any other questions? Y'all real talkative tonight now. I like that. If having no other questions, I need a motion to adjourn.
One last thing.
I'm sorry, did someone have something to say?
Yes,
sir.
With us going back in person, will that also change or provide information about our strategic planning meeting that was postponed due to COVID? And that can be responded in an email. I'll also send it in an email.
No, it can be responded right now. Because of COVID, we didn't have our strategic plan. I'm sorry, city manager. We did not have it in January because of COVID. So periodically, the team has been supplying you with things that we could have done in the meantime. In the early fall, we plan to have it. Early fall, late spring, late summer. We do plan to still go on with the strategic plan. It was just that Councilman Copeland, that in January, we was at the peak. Okay? I wasn't meeting with y'all. Y'all didn't want to meet with me. So that's why it was postponed. City manager, help me out with this one. Am I right?
That's correct. So we won't be able to have it right away because we'll have those limitations in meetings. That's why we're thinking possibly in the fall we would be able to have something like that. Right now, the big point of our strategic planning session is to get more of the public into the meeting so that they can hear some of that in-depth discussion. With the rules that are in place now, we wouldn't be able to do that. It would still be a council meeting, and I think you can have 25 in an indoor meeting. So really, they'd be watching that on TV and wouldn't have that opportunity to see it. So hopefully by the fall, those restrictions will be relaxed somewhat. So then we can schedule that, and we'll go from there. We'll keep watching those orders from the Department of Health and see what we get in the upcoming months.
Okay. Mr. Councilman Copeland, is that sufficient?
Yes, ma'am. I'll follow up with an email.
Okay. Thank you, sir. Need a motion to adjourn. I'm sorry.
Michael
Real
Ball.
quick here. I apologize. Real quick here. I just want to comment on something that Councilwoman Bench had said, and then also Councilwoman Lamar Sylvia is going to explain in the email. She had heard from MLA that you don't necessarily need to keep your cameras on. COVID has been incredibly hard on all of us. With the current equipment that was given to me by the city, I cannot hear a good portion of the meeting unless my camera is off, just because everything starts to load. I'll send a screenshot. I could see your reaction, Councilwoman Bench, that you don't believe me. But the truth is that it continues to freeze. I can't hear people. And so I am more than excited to get back to the chambers. But in the meantime, given I went as far as getting new equipment this week, a new iPad, and it still freezes up. If we talk even longer, Councilwoman Williams will just disappear. And so we're all kind of dealing with technology and the curveballs that it gives us. I've heard from Mayor Moore last week or last session that she's hearing from constituents about people disappearing. And it's not for a lack of my care for the city or for lack of appreciation for the job that I'm doing here. It's simply that I cannot hear anybody. And right now, everybody's face is completely frozen. And so I am more than happy to get back to regular meetings. And so with that, I motion to adjourn.
So move. Any more questions? I need a second.
Second, Michael.
Thank you.
And move to second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? The ayes have it. Everybody have a great week.